My name is Burcu Eke Schneider. I'm a peace worker. I have been living in Germany since 2017. I was in Istanbul before. I was very active during the Gezi movement, Gezi Park movement. I worked as a journalist in Turkey also. Now, after the peace education, my life also changed, and now I'm living in Wuppertal. I'm also being the part of change, positive change. Today we will give information about our peace project, which is for the future, I think, very important, because we are now changing. The world is changing now, and we will be the decision makers, takers, and also we will be the change of our future. We will build together. And avant-gardenist, what does it mean, is very important to explain, because it's a person who works in nature to establish an agroecological relationship between plants, people, and animals, especially between human and nature. So it's an engagement of experimentally, radically, or transformatively, often using scientific and artistic strategies. So we are trying to find out, to be honest, the new identities, because it's enough to give the dominance to just express us with our identities. So let's be a constructive way, find new identities together. And what is going on in the urban realm? The conflicts. There are many drivers of injustice. We analyze this during our urban discussions, and we dig into these root cause problems. We try to understand more deeper, and also we need more time to understand. In global environment, when we see the contradictions, the number of hungry people in the world will reach 840 million by 2030 if current trends continue. On the other hand, 1.3 billion tons of food wasted globally each year. 1/3 of the world's edible food is wasted now. And about the urban population, around 2.5 billion more people will be living in cities 2050, according to UN. But we don't know the environmental mobility, how will affect our future. So there's no clue about how many people will live 2050. War expenditures. Militarized responses increased during the COVID-19, and global spending on the military in 2019 estimated to have been 1,917 billion, the highest level since 30 years. So we continue to spend for the war or invest. The violence, there are a lot of kind of violence, varieties of violence, but when we speak about urban environment, so internally displaced persons will affect the population. So due to the violence, the conflict reached 41.3 million. This was the highest number on record also since 1998. So what did we think about this? Well, how can we change where we are living? How can we change our cities? It was the idea to create a dialogue in the nature together, to find a common ground. And Wuppertal is a transformation city, real laboratory for the world. So I realized when I moved here, there's an institution, there's a kind of experimental approach, but how can we create dialogue with the communities? Because the institutions, NGOs, or several actors or stakeholders, they are trying to change the world, but on the other hand, there is something in their neighbors, but they have no connection. So how can we be the in between, mediating in kind of relations? So we started in Alevitin Culture Centrum, a peace project, and we sit with several actors, Wuppertal Institute, Extinction Rebellion, NGOs, urban gardening professionals, job center representatives, political party members, academicians, artists, and in the first Agora, we discussed what we want for the future in our city. This is the participative democracy example. An example of how to, in every level of people, can just in an eye contact level come and discuss their future. It is very important to be part of to invite all the parties and discuss in a space and invite them, find solutions for the future. And we start to create contact with the nature. Some people in our group members, they don't they don't know nature. They just continue to live in their apartments, balconies, just they have flowers, or some people are really professionalized many years in their life. So how can we find in between these parties also knowledge sharing, knowledge transformation process? How can we make it possible? So it was the idea how we started. And we said peace building is very important in this process for micro level change. Peace building and transformation, if it goes hand in hand, then we can find solutions together. The team members, they are all from different cultures, diverse. This is the sound of the city. This is the people's color. And from the backstage, we don't see all the team members because they are very, very nice, kind supporters in our team. Bosnia, Czech Republic, in local community from the Wuppertalers, or Turkey, people who moved from the suppression. Nowadays, you know, some part of the world still domination are going very wild. So we are trying to find out now how we can find solutions, because we cannot continue to accept the violence in the cities, in our families, in our neighborhoods, or in the global environment also. We start to participate some festivals, and we start to communicate with different cultures. And when the people, for instance, my Syrian friends, they are very nice people. They moved here. 1 million people are living in Germany now. And when I ask them, do you know what is sustainability? Have you? They know, of course, what is Mesopotamia. They have Mesopotamia roots. They come from the most fertilized soil on earth. And but Burcu, look, I am traumatized. I have a real war trauma. And how can I just be the part of now where I live? So it takes time. But if we really understand them and make an empathy with the people and community, then we can also invite them to now and present time, here. Otherwise, all the generations and generations with their traumas, they continue to live with their traumas without any healing. And nature is also a healer for us, for our traumas, even war traumas. And Alevian community is very, very kind of them. They opened their space. They gave us, it's a religious center. And what kind of a real change in a religious center garden now? In international community, they come together, they work together with the kids, with every different age, gender, political views, just respecting each other and empowering women. The women are being now really part of change. They are constructive in this project a lot. When sometimes the discussions ongoing in between us, the women, they are putting their directly hand and say, no, I want to say something now. And it is very important as kind of a feminist approach while taking decisions also. And climate justice and biodiversity, one of our team member, Ben, will speak after me, and it is very important to contribute to more climate justice in an urban environment, more sustainable, more conscious behavior. But how can we make it possible? This is not easy. We will speak in my theoretic practice part also. And peace is the core of the idea. Create and maintain peace, the framework protecting space, not tolerate defamation or violence towards other people. It is the core of the idea. So when we start with respect, with the knowledge, diversity, color, gender, age, everything. When we start, then we can start to build trust. We can take more responsibility. We can activate in the town different actors for a positive future. And finding new identities that transcend divisions. This is the creativity how we work, avant-gardenist ideas. Use nature for healing, open a dialogue, find a common language, be part of a shared understanding, create inclusive spaces. We have very valuable spaces in the town. Open house, for instance, opera house, art scenes, religious centers, theaters, everywhere. So how can we invite them to be part of change? In different level, different knowledge, different creativity, but it is possible because peace building invites in a space, come together, Let's discuss together for our common future and find a solution. Solution-oriented thinking really works. We did it in Wuppertal just in 6 months. It is not a long time. Even in the Corona times, there was a respect with the distance. We continued to work in the garden.
1 minute.
Yeah, thank you for warning me. So at the end, what I want to say, urban areas need to be developed through a combination of bottom-up participatory processes to address the local needs and context, and top-down planning and support. So Wuppertal Institute also came in this kind of a process and supported with the knowledge. Now we are transforming our project into a micro-level capacity building idea. Now I think Bernd can really give more information about our project, how it grew about as a nature expert and local knowledge sharing. Thank you. Sorry, Bengi first will speak about the youth perspective, then Bernd will speak. First, a young generation perspective we will hear. Yes, Bengi.
Thank you very much. I'm Bengi. I'm 20 years old. I'm a student living in Wuppertal. And I want to start by telling you why the location of the culture center is very important to us. Well, it's very close to the central station. It's the heart in the middle of sport and education and art. It's on a mountain, which is very typical for Wuppertal, just overlooking the city. It's a beautiful view. It has a huge green space. It's optional for urban gardening because it's right in the center of the city. And furthermore, there are many buildings without any gardens at all. The building was listed as protected monument and the property is quite old. Therefore, the garden space used to lie idle for a very, very long time. And yeah, I want to talk about my project motivation. My initial motivation was to be a part of change and take more responsibility where I live. First of all, I was not aware that transformation will change my attitude and behaviors in a positive way, definitely. Working in that neutral environment was somehow kind of therapeutic, you could say, and I started to learn how to co-create. Growing up, I lived in a flat with my parents and we had 2 small balconies that you can see on the picture with about 30 plants, I don't know. And I never really learned to grow something on my own, let alone get my hands dirty on some proper soil. And after being a part of the peace process, it was the first time really facing self-criticism. And I quickly found the Zen space to be an escape from the loud and busy city. Also having the garden be like right behind the culture center. I've been dedicating hours and hours into voluntary work. It has really been eye-opening to me. So not only the people in the project became a part of transformation, learning about also the ALUFR community, they started to create new dialogue methods by using nature as a tool. Just like anything else in this world, to grow, you really need a period of time. You need a healthy environment. You need a caring support system. I think that's what's so special about this co-work, is that you really feel understanding and sympathizing with others is quite easy because the space offers a melting pot for very different people, very different identities. And the integration process could almost be called a symbiosis, where those different kind of organisms learn to find their own way to profit from each other. Especially in a city like Wuppertal, where there's so much diversity, about 30%, people should really come together and just learn from each other. There's no difference in how those plants grow in this garden, so it's not different in any other country in this world either. So why shouldn't we all do it together? the inclusive integration process needs a safe space and trust and respect. And those are all the things that I've learned growing up in the culture center so far. And the feeling of nature is just so close to the feeling of the so-called home, which is why the Peace Garden is a perfect environment for this kind of work. Also, I think the loss of identity and being out of touch with nature is an increasing issue for people around my age and the following generations, I guess. I feel like people lose their awareness for how this world was developed and how we as humans really need to keep this planet safe for any living creature. Being caught up in the busy city life, sorry, makes you forget what the essentials of a functioning and a healthy world are. So being out of touch with nature makes you feel disconnected to the most natural thing that you can actually experience. Yeah, I would like to give the word to Bernd, who's a local knowledge guy in our troop.
Hi everybody, I'm Bernd Vetterich. I am a member of the Naturgarten Verein, which is the Nature Garden Society. The Nature Garden Society is engaged in biodiversity in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. I've just co-founded a local group, so we have about 32 local groups now. And with this local group, we will work closely together with the existing network. We have Wuppertal's Urbane Gärten, a network of urban gardens. We have a Permakulturhof, so the permaculture farm. The permaculture farm does not produce fruit for the market, but is doing public relation. You see the place where they are from above in the middle. Yeah. And we have the Bergische Gartenarche, a garden arc, a group of gardeners saving local varieties and cultivars of vegetables. The Peace Garden, of course, is part of this network too. We have just started, but we're going to have a good variety of vegetables. And that already is a part of biodiversity. And we will take care of the soil. So we will have a high humus content in the soil and high number of living creatures in the soil, like worms and anything else. So we will have biodiversity in the soil as well. And apart from the growing fruits and vegetables, there will be parts of the garden where we will use local indigenous plants to do something for local insects and birds, for example, as well. You might think that plants from abroad are widening the chances you have in your garden, but that's not really true because there are so many species in our country that we can use, or others in their country. And a lot of insects are specialized to just some plants. There are insects that can use many different plants, like honeybees. And there are other insects that just can't. We have over 350 species of wild bees in Germany, a lot of them endangered. And they cannot cope with plants from other places. call it co-evolution. Yeah, and plants that live on poor ground are especially endangered. So if you create sandy places in the garden, and use the plants that can live there, that's very good as well. Next slide, please. Yeah. So there's in the middle, you see a wild bee I photographed on my balcony. On the right hand, you see a flat roof of the former gym of the Alaviten Culture Center. And we plan to put a special substrate on this roof and to plant and sow plants that can live there on this very dry place. And to have planted flat roofs is good for the climate as well. And apart from that, we are going to have structures in nature, so-called nature garden structures as well, like stone piles or dead wood. And dead wood is important for a lot of species of beetles because their larvae eat wood.
So if you have 1 minute, Bernd.
Thank you. So if you have different, lot of dead wood of different stages of decay, that's very good for beetles. Like for this one on the left. Yeah, black-headed cardinal beetle, or for Germans, Scharlachroter Feuerkäfer. I've taken this photograph in the garden of the Alaviten Culture Center in our Peace Garden. Yeah, so biodiversity is a vital basis for human life on Earth, just like the climate. It's very important. And in our Peace Garden, we're going to celebrate the diversity of people and the diversity of life forms on Earth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so over to you, Burcu.
Yes, now I am starting. Building Sustainable and Just Futures, Theory to Practice. When I came to Germany, I also directly contacted with the university, and I am now a scholar activist in the university. So I'm a PhD student and writing a thesis about inclusive transformation of the international community. Especially, I focus on participation of women with their cultural knowledge in sustainable and just urban development processes. So what is the university normally, as we know, as a scholar activists also we are criticizing, when we have the theories, then it's not easy to implement to the reality. So how can we make it possible by the help of peace building strategies? I am not in this peace and conflict studies department here. It's a sociology and political science, but I use the interdisciplinary knowledge to find solutions. My thesis directly focuses to find solutions also. The first thing is conflict analysis. So when we continue, Duncan, the root cause of the problems are very important to understand for us. But of course, we should identify what is peace, what is conflict, what is violence. So when I institute or in the university, they didn't imagine that gentrification can be a violence, also can cause a violence. So we need to understand that the attitudes, behaviors, it may cause violence. So how can we prevent the violence and make the inclusive transformation together, not giving any harm to parties, and invite them to be part of change. Conflict analysis helps us to understand in this transformation process. And every subject has different violence explanation. So what is our focus is, first of all, in the neighborhoods. Now we are starting this micro level work, conflict analysis with our neighbors. For instance, dialogue problems, for instance, misunderstandings, for instance, the knowledge sharing problems. There could be anything that we can understand the conflict, then we can continue to transform the conflict first. So when we understand, when the consciousness starts, then we can able to transform them. So conflict analysis is the first step. The second is conflict transformation. So as peace workers, we are using a lot of tools for transform the conflict. This is one of the tools in our peace garden also we started in a local level communication, dialogue building, and with the cultures, different culture people. And when it is a local level intervention, then it is sustainable solutions are coming. But when it is much more from the top down, it is less ownership and sustainability challenge. So we need to understand why the micro level approaches are very important for the conflict transformations also. It is about trying to better understand the community's activities as design principles for solutions and finding ways to validate approaches. And local people and groups co-create approaches and set priorities while outsiders like institutions, NGOs assist with their resources. So the peace workers are in between all these parties and find a common ground. So we need facilitators in between these stakeholders. And then the transformation starts. After the last slide will be about transformation. And in this transformation approach, inclusive ideas with respect could be our common future. So if we focus a common future, then it will really be much more without prevent violence and top-down and bottom-up power structures, multi-sectoral approaches to addressing inequalities and political will to activate and engage local communities could be the success. And with engaging local leaders, politicians, and communities, peace workers like us set out to understand the nature of conflicts. And without understanding the nature of conflicts, we cannot find the solutions. Creating resolution approaches according to cultural needs. Every culture's needs are different. So it is a kind of starting to understand and respect the culture. Then we can transform our neighborhoods and where we are living. This is the 5 minutes from theory to practice explanation. And all this follow the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 16 to promote just, peaceful, and inclusive societies agenda. So we can discuss now together for the future steps.
Okay. So thank you, Burcu. If anybody's any questions that they want to directly ask Burcu, just type it there into the chat. We don't see any. People are just asking about technical. Okay, well, I'll ask you a question. If people want to raise their hand, then if it's easier than chatting. We have a question from Patricia in Lisbon. Yeah? Would you like to speak?
Yes. Thank you for sharing such an amazing project, Bruce. So the question is, when you're talking about the conflict analysis, I can see like you have to have the first diagnostic of the area and to see the systemic constellation maybe. But I was wondering, what is the size of this analysis? Do you cover just the local, micro-local conflict analysis, or you go like the city as a whole, the country? How yeah.
There are two, thank you for the question, Patricia. It's very important. Normally, peace workers, we are working first with our own micro level, like I, family, friends, environment. It's micro. On the other hand, it is important to see the eagle eye view perspective from the up to understand which actors are active in the city. So we need to understand the actor analysis combined with the conflict analysis, with actor analysis, then we can go into the problem. I started in this project first to focus with the Muslim groups. This was my approach. Then in this Muslim groups, because it's a religion-centered transformation also. In this Muslim group, analyzed all different groups of varieties of groups in the city. And what I realized, the domination of the part of groups, and one group is much more suppressed than others. And I choose the suppressed, most marginalized group. So I wanted to be their constructive future. And especially the woman, the feminist approach, how we can strengthen. And they have a mother as a priest in their community. And she told me in these interviews that when she participates some meetings with the other religious some leaders, they don't respect her, which I don't accept also, because there is a violence there. So we need to understand where is the core of the violence and how can we support these people to show them and to strengthen them. And all religions, they have normally in the core of their heart violence. It is not the discussion, but the discussion is when it comes to the attitudes and behaviors, behaviors. There's a contradiction because patriarchy also affects our behaviors and attitudes. So it was the kind of a micro level analysis. And after we started in this piece project there.
Isla's got a question, I think. Do you want to ask it, Isla?
Hello, first of all, thank you very much for this very inspiring project and for the presentation. I would like to learn whether you received any kind of support from the local governments, the municipality or any other body during your work. Thank you.
Yeah. So Bernd, first I will answer. Maybe you want to say add something here. Normally we started with a civil disobedience. It's a direct and activist approach. We didn't search for a support. All we do what we are doing now is our own will. But it is growing, and it is very interesting that the support started slowly, financial side. Because we are growing, and the people understand that in the city, there is a positive change for all actors. It is not only one person or one group of people. This includes all the other communities, and it is related with the other, like for instance, actors, university, NGO, institution even. So it is growing, and we next season means that the 2021 we will start to get support because we need also these resources. So it is not a barrier to stop the project again. The first thing, leadership, but with a constructive civil disobedience. Because leadership doesn't mean that just looking out of the box. You need this soul. Like Bernd maybe will say, he's a member of Extinction Rebellion. We will all these activists in our group. Bernd, do you want to say something, add something here?
Yeah, I would like to add something. Yeah, as Burcu said, I am with Extinction Rebellion as well. And we as a local group, we are trying to establish citizen assembly. And we work together with Wuppertal University, who are very experienced with this item, very experienced. And because of Corona, we had no chance to get in contact with the local government and local Stadtrat. Don't know what's Stadtrat in English. Yeah.
Stakeholders, you can say, stakeholders, all the other
Yeah.
actors, we call
Yeah,
it actors.
right. Okay. Yeah, very similar. We are looking for financial sources on every level. If you have a project in Germany, there are a lot of possibilities. You can get financial support, but you have to look for it. At university, people have to look for financial support for their projects as well. So it can be on a local level where you can find something, pot created, and you have to look if your project is fitting in that or not. Example given on a higher level, not sorry, can't get that in English, doesn't matter. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. You have to look out on every governmental level, and I think that for the Peace Garden, for the next growing season, we will have some support. And our idea is to get it professionalized on different levels. For example, what we found out in the last season is that we need someone who takes care of the plants all the time, who is responsible. We just managed somehow, but it's better if there's one person, a gardener who knows a bit about gardening and who will be paid for his or her work.
In this process, Bernd, thank you for your all inputs and insights. It means that capacity building process will start. It is the capacity building process. I am very excited because it is growing. It's capacity building in micro level now are the future of all cities. This is the Wuppertal Institute also understood, and I'm so happy that they are. I'm invited also on Thursday to speak about post-corona new normality. And I will also share my thoughts how we can do capacity building in neighborhoods where we are living.
I think if anyone else has any more questions, but I know Patricia wants to come back in. She has another question. Just seeing if there's anyone else who has a question. No, I don't see any hands or no. Okay, well, Patricia, if you want to fire ahead.
You answered somehow already, but I can address again as well. What are the biggest challenges you have in this project?
It's very nice questions, because difficulties are the most important part, and every year or every 6 months we are planning now, we did 2, but we will continue to meet. Agora meetings are the most important. Agora means that participative democracy discussions together with the parties is the most important moment to speak about our difficulties, mistakes, and the lessons to learn process. So self-criticisms also. In this project, what is the interesting difficulties for me? I am a migrant since 2017, 3 years, new identity. I wasn't a migrant before. So first of all, to understand such an identity. Before this, the respect, how it starts. Should I be every time very well educated when the people start to respect me? This is the second question, because I want to be part of change also, but why I should be very well educated? So the knowledge transformation or mobility, first mobility then transformation, what I mean. Mobility subject is for knowledge is also very valuable. When the institutions and NGOs, they come together for capacity buildings, they really don't understand a bit, to understand, to reaching the level of the people who wants to be part of the change. And it is the kind of knowledge difference. And it's very difficult because vocabulary is different, terminology is different. And we are also working in UrbanA project a lot about simplicity. How can we make every individual's participation for a common future is very valuable, like spaces. It is very valuable. We need people. Human potential they are the future of us, these people. And we need to understand how to create dialogue in between us. And this is the knowledge. This is very difficult to understand the level of the intellectuals, to understand the people who want to be part of change first, and the other communities, others, and local people, and also others. Also, there is also in between this division. And media is not so useful for this. Politicians are also in the work. They are not working for a common future nowadays. So we need to be creative to find these solutions. And artists, peace thinkers, all these constructive people who want to be part of change, they are all welcome. We are working together now. This is a common future world, inclusive transformation. First of all, in our neighborhoods where we are living. This is the start. These days we are working. I think it's very exciting because we will be creative a lot, and all spaces are for us, working for us. We can use every spaces and transform.
We've only about 3 more minutes, so if anyone else has a little question, or if Guckner wants to come as well. I know she was playing a tech role earlier on, but if you have any views as well, if you'd like to share anything. We haven't heard from you.
So I can just say as a summary of it. I can do a summary because addressing socio-economic inequality is a justice thema. It's very important to address this because normally when we in Wuppertal is linear city, it's a long city. It's very interesting. We have a Schwebebahn. Schwebebahn means this is under the not directly normal train, but it's flying train. It's very interesting on the river. Germany is when I came here, I was really surprised to see such a technology because look, they didn't construct a normal street or something for the train. Even they transformed the rivers. They are using the space of the river upper side like a balcony, and they put a train there. It was very interesting for me to see how they convert the space. Or they converted in Wuppertal this Nordbahn Trasse is a very huge project also. Very long bicycle way. Now it was before it's a train railway, but also with the station. And there's a nice idea of utopia for the future. And it's growing, but it should be inclusive also. So what I mean, at the end, creating spaces for change is important. How we can make it possible. Empowering people with the means and space to develop their own solutions to conflicts. We need to understand there's a violence, there's a conflict there, and we need to understand how to transform, not directly resolve them. Transformation is a sustainable peace solution also. And global policies into local realities, but one person's even one creative idea can change all the world. Please don't forget, you can be the change. Now we need to leave. Thanks for everything, for hearing me. Bye-bye.
Okay.
We are going now.
Okay, thank you very much. So see you back on the other side.